What's up, everybody? It's your favorite combatant's favorite nerd. Today we are looking at Mezco's first wave of Mortal Kombat figures, and I am pleasantly surprised with all of them. But we're going to talk about each one, and there are some issues, but we're going to talk about that. But first up is SubZero, and he comes with a couple accessories. We'll take a look. He comes with an extra hand, gripping hand that he can put his ice hammer in. The ice hammer is, it's okay. I haven't played the game yet, so I don't really know much about it, but it's fine. And he holds it not so fine in this hand anyway, but it is there. And then he has another gripping hand with like this ice sword, which is also okay. It's a bit small, I think, and it's but it's fine. It's got paint on there. It's a little touch and go, as you can see between the. Let me make this focus. As you can see between the silver, it gets a little touch and go, like there's some spots in there, but it's not a big deal. You'll never notice it, and it doesn't show up like painfully obvious or anything. So yeah. As for the figure, he is pretty awesome. It's his head is on a. It feels like it's just on a ball joint. I'm not really sure I understand. I wish I could pop this head off, but I'm afraid to. But it feels like it's just on a single ball peg up in there, but the range of motion is still pretty good. It's a little limited up, but down is good, and then the full, around is fine. The sculpt is fantastic. Plenty of detail in there, wrinkles in the mask, dry brushing all on the mask, on the hood, dry brushing. A little, no, maybe not there, but still pretty good. These straps are all sculpted and molded. Every detail in the mask is sculpted and molded. It's got these little bandana pieces hanging off. Okay, they're glued in. Ooh, and I just did some damage to it by manipulating it too much. So it would have been nice if they weren't glued in, and you could have done something with them, but it's fine either way. Moving down, that like detail in there, I'm going to need a little pointer unit. All that detail in there is all sculpted and painted, and like that's really tight paint work, and it's all done very nicely. And then you got this extra piece. Nope, it's not extra. It's all part of the same cast. I don't even know who painted this, but that's fantastic. All these rivets and lines in here are all sculpted little wrinkles in the textures of the fabric. It's all fantastic. This here is it's like an add-on piece put in, but it still looks nice. Straps, all that stuff. It's all extra detail. The skin is a little plain, but it's not hateful. It seems, I don't know, it seems a little vibrant against, like, these are very muted colors, but it's pretty awesome, I have to say. Even like these little like things down here are all painted. This is painted. These straps down in here, pretty great. As far as articulation, nothing for the abdomen, but you do get the waist swivel, which is on a ball joint up in here, probably down into the pelvis. I don't know. I can't tell. And then a swivel. The swivel is a little limited by how the sculpt comes down over top of. I would have wished this was like a softer plastic, but it is soft, but maybe just a bit softer. I don't know. It would have been nice, but it's still pretty cool, and you still can get a decent. I mean, you can't go far beyond that turning anyway. You know what I mean? So it's still gonna work just fine. See, the arms are on ball hinges, but the joint is so far in, I'm guessing to hide the seams, that you don't get much in the way of articulation out of it. Now you can turn it up, but it's just like you can't do much. I don't know. It's not very effective. So I'd like to see that come out a bit more, but it looks good like in a standing position. This is all sculpted on and painted. Ball hinge. Well, it's like a hinge that plugs in there to get your bicep swivel at the elbow, and then it gets you to 90 degrees. And then the wrist, you know, if you want to plug in there, your different hand accessories, they go in there, and then all that blue brown paint with the black being dry brush gray. Holy moly! It's almost like they care or something. How nice. Same here on the other side. All looks good. Articulation is the same, and it's pretty much identical. It might just be a reverse mold, you know, like it's pretty much identical, and it's all done well. Even like the little buckles are attempted to be painted there. It's not the cleanest thing in the world, but still looks interesting. Okay, so, and he has a peg here in this hand, which I think this will plug into, and I think there's an SDCC exclusive of this guy that's like a all ice mold. And then if you have him like holding the hammer straight up, it'll look like the ice is like just coming out of his ice hand or whatever, but it doesn't really work for anything here. T-jointed ball joints for hips, which are okay. You don't get much out of them. You get up to there, and you get back to there. Out to the sides, you do okay. Yeah, pretty good out to the side. Thigh swivels built into the top of the joint there, which is okay. Blue stripe painted. It's not even the same blue as that, so that's a different paint application than this, which is painted also, and this is painted. All the wrinkles in the pants and so on and so forth all look good. Knee hinge, getting you less than 90 degrees. So that's and like, to be honest with you, they could have used this part here to cover up a double joint there, and that would have been nice. And you get a swivel as well, which is you know, not my favorite thing in the world, but it is there. All that's painted and dry brushed, the blue and the blue here, and then you get the brown painted, the silver straps. There are some paint mistakes, but I'm guessing that all of these are painted by hand, and I'm guessing that, you know, mistakes are going to happen, and there's a lot of paint to be had on these figures, so, you know, like, I'm willing to trade that up. The feet are on, let's see if I can't see in there. Okay, it's a ball peg. The peg goes up into here, giving you the swivel. Comes down to the ball joint at the base, which gets you the range of motion as is, and a rocker. The sculpt of the feet, sometimes you have to manipulate it. Like, you see how I got a little bit of flash there, right there. So like, I got to work it to get it in, and then you can get your rocker no problem. So that's all good. Same on the other side. So that's SubZero. Now we'll look at Raiden. He comes with some accessories as well, like a lightning hand. That I don't care for at all. I mean, I get what they're trying to do with it. It's translucent plastic with the hinge here at the wrist, and then the plug for the swivel. So it's all fine. It's just, you know, I don't know. It's not. It just doesn't look quite right. But you know, I don't think it looks any worse than, like, you know, when Star Wars is trying to do stuff with lightning effects for the Emperor or whatever. Like, I don't think it looks any better or any worse. It just is what it is, I suppose. And then 2 additional hands. All with the, like, look at this sculpting on there, and that's all painted. I'm just not used to that with a figure at this price point. But they're like 2, like, you know, those sorts of hands, I guess. I don't know how to say it. Then we have the figure. He has the hat. The hat is removable, which is not my favorite thing in the world, but it does have a pretty secure fit. So I say that, and then look what happens. You don't, once it's on, you don't really have too much of an issue, and it does, like, the sculpt of it is fantastic. It's all washed and all that. Can you guys see that? That little line work detail that's sculpted in the hat. How is that possible? We're going to talk more about it. He comes with this accessory as well. It's like a sea urchin or lightning. I don't know. It's a lightning effect, I guess, but it doesn't. I don't know. I don't get a good vibe from this either. I won't be having him holding any accessories. Head on the same type of joint, but the articulation is even more hindered than SubZero. But you can still, you can still get a little bit out of him. So definitely not the best, but not the worst either. The tunic here, or whatever this thing is called, is like really where the love is with this figure. So the plastic itself is this color, the tan color. Let me see if I can use my lightning effects for something good. It's this color here, and then it's painted blue underneath with these blue things painted on top, and then the gold painted on top of it all, and the gray painted on top of it all. So for those keeping track, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 paint apps on one element of the torso. Then moving on to here, this here I believe is a piece of extra plastic, this gray here. This white is a piece of extra plastic. This gray is painted on here with silver, small silver, focus. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's like small gold, rather, designs painted on there. I mean, it's, I don't know. I don't understand. It's awesome. So white, and then white plastic, white plastic. No paint on the white plastic, so the smudges are showing up on there, but it's not unsightly. It could just be dirty. As far as articulation goes, it's a ball joint. They even accounted for the articulation here. So when it comes up to go beyond the belt, the paint actually, the sculpt here has to reside so that it fits properly under the belt. But then they even painted it underneath so that it would carry through. Very thoughtful. I love stuff like that. Waist swivel is built in with a relatively limited ball joint. So that's cool. Arms are on ball hinges here. They work better than SubZero's. So that's a plus. And then same sort of elbow as SubZero here, a ball hinge with a peg going inside where you get the swivel. And it gets you just shy of 90 degrees. Brown. And that's a, see, I think that's a single cast of white plastic here. So this is brown painted on, and then silver painted on the brown, blue painted on the brown, gold painted on the gray, which is painted on the brown. That is phenomenal, phenomenal. It's you know what it is? It's pride. That is what pride looks like. That's what craftsmanship looks like. The hand is on a wrist. It's on a ball. It's on a hinge swivel. So the peg plugs in, gives you the swivel, and then you have the hinge. And it's the hinge is limited. And if you go too far, you're going to pull this out. And this has got some paint on it, but I guess that's what happens when you paint your figures. I'm just not used to it. And then you plug that in, and you're good to go. Cool little posing hand there. Same on the other side. For this lower piece here, you have this rope that's a extra piece that's been glued on, so that's fine. And then you have this here, and this is all painted with the same sort of love, care, and attention that this upper piece is painted. And just look at the designs in there and how well it's painted. I'm going to get to the price of these at the end. It's because I think it's going to be mind-blowing. So the hips are where my issues are. For some reason, just proportion-wise, and you guys can tell me if you think different, but I feel like the hips sit a little low on him for some reason. And I think they did it to account for this, so it wouldn't impede any more articulation, which is okay out to the side. But it just seems like it sits a little low. It seems like the pelvis is a little low. I don't know. I don't know why. Out to the side is no problem. Front, not so much. Back, not so much. Thigh swivel, built in, works like a champ. Knee, less than 90 degrees. Brown painted on the thigh, silver painted on the brown. Same with these straps down here. And then this is gray metallic paint with the gold on the accents. And then this this ankle here is it feels like a ball peg. I don't know. It feels like a ball peg with the ball joint down in the bottom, pegging up into the side of here and getting you good rotation and rocker. Tilt there, swivels built in, and then the rocker just goes. The rocker is what you lose the most of, but it is there. And then this, the sandals all sculpted, painted. Pretty slick. Last up is Scorpion, and he has 2 holding hands that are supposed to hold these swords. They don't do a great job of it, but they're not going anywhere. But there is some quite a bit of wiggle room in there. And then you can remove the hands, which are on the same sort of joint we've been looking at this whole time. The swivel on the peg and then the hinge. You can remove those hands and replace them with these things. This and this. So this hand has like the the throw in the spear look. You plug that onto here. And I am having some paint flick off on my fingers somewhere. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but so there, right? And then you plug that up into the wrist, and then he can do the throw in the spear bit, which is a super smart way of handling that. I'm always hesitant when they try to do a scorpion like with the spear gimmick, but that is a super clever way to go about that. Very cool. The accessory itself looks like it's been washed. It's like a very soft plastic, and it has the silver painted on, it seems, and it has this cool design here. Very cool. Okay, for the head, the hood is separated from the ball joint, and the ball joint is huge, and it sits down in the neck, which gives him a much better range of motion than the other two, which is nice. The hood has a texture on it, which is pretty cool. And then this faceplate comes off, revealing that face. Now, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but he looks like he could stand to bulk up on the carbs a little bit. And then this is all sculpted and molded. I have had, now it sits in there and it'll stay, but especially posed on a shelf or something, but I have had issues with it coming off. Just why I've been messing with them, because I have been messing with these guys a lot. They're a lot of fun. See, like just like that. Moving down, tons of paint. Same, like the yellow tunic has a red or a brown wash on it. Brown paint on the straps. All the little buckles and everything are all sculpted. The textures and materials are all sculpted in there. Flesh still looks a little plain, but what are you gonna do? And you could just hit that with like a wash, like a flesh wash yourself, and be done with it. It would look fantastic. A watered down flesh wash. And then in here, this is all sculpted, molded, painted, looking fantastic. The ball joint gets you a ton of articulation. The shoulders stick out a little bit more from SubZero, it seems. So the articulation is slightly better than SubZero's, but still a bit hindered, especially by the tunic. No bicep swivel either. The arms articulate the same way as the others. Hinge swivel there. Straps painted. Buckles painted. Gauntlet straps, buckles painted here. And then the hand would do the same. Same for this side. And you do, by the way, you do get 2 of these. So you could, you get 2 of the hands that pose this way, and then 2 of these. So it's up to you what you want to do that way. So anyway, you get your swivel built in here on this ball joint. That's pretty good. The hips look great. They go out to the side, and they go out to the front fairly decently. And then you got this stuff that's all like, I love how there's like all of these figures have stuff like this. Like there's just so much depth and layers to the fabrics and everything. It just gives it a much more real feel. Totally dig it. Same sort of ball jointed T-joints for hips, with thigh swivel at the end of the joint. Straps painted, all wrinkle sculpted. Knee hinge for the knee, less than 90 degrees, as we've come to expect at this point. But the suit is dry brushed with the gray, and then this ball joint is identical kind of to SubZero's, and works even better because it doesn't have the metal guard blocking any of it, so it works like a champ. And then you get the knee swivel built in, which is, whatever, it is what it is, I guess, but unnecessary, but there. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. Size comparison wise, since this is a new line from this company, there he is next to a Marvel Legend, and there he is next to Figuarts Harley. Not quite as tall as a Legend, but definitely in the ballpark, and about the same size as Harley, a little bit taller than a Figuarts figure. So closer to a Figuarts than a Legend, but Not exactly identical to either. And there he is next to Anika Raphael. And I did this because the plastic quality to me kind of seems consistent here. You know, it's not as refined as like a Figuarts or a Figma figure, and it's not as well done as this, but it's in the ballpark of that. And you know, I just want to show you he's a little on the smaller side as in comparison to a Legend or a Star Wars Black Series. Speaking of which, there he is next to Han Solo from the Black Series. You know, so they're just a taddest bit shorter. But you know, some good things can come in small packages.
Hey, I got you something.
What? What's this?
It's my Christmas list.
Well, aren't I the lucky girl?
Final thoughts. The negatives are that the articulation does suffer at the sacrifice of the seamless looking sculpts. It doesn't mean that good poses are impossible to get out of them. As you can see, I've got some fairly decent ones going on here. It just means that it is limited. There is a ton of paint on these guys, so some paint is flicking off as you mess with the articulation more, but it's not affecting the overall look of the figure. It's just paint inside the seams and stuff where stuff is rubbing across one another. Outside is fairly good to go. A lot of the accessories seem kind of throwaway-ish. I don't really care for SubZero's accessories or Raiden's accessories. Scorpion is the one where it all kind of works. And the big problem potentially with this line, but not with these figures, is that it won't make enough money to make all of them. You know, and then you have a shelf of 6 figures or something. You know what I mean? It's just obnoxious. But I'm definitely in. As long as they keep making them, I'm going to keep buying them. Because there's a lot good going on here. The price point is fantastic. It's like $55 or something for all 3. These figures being less than $20 a piece versus Marvel Legends, and now it's over $20 a piece. I just don't understand how that's possible, given the amount of paint and sculpt in individual molds that are going into this line. I don't, by an independent company with fewer resources, I don't get it. There's so much love here. There's so much pride here. These guys are trying to make a good product to stay in business, but these guys love what they're doing, the people that made these toys. It's obvious. It's painfully obvious. This is what love feels like. You know, these folks that made this line, they care about this product and they want the fans to be happy. So I can't recommend these enough. There are some shortcomings, but I think between the sculpts, the paint, the attention to detail, the silhouettes, the amount of depth that's in these figures, the amount of layers and textures, I think that there's no way that you could get these at their super low price point and not be satisfied. I strongly, strongly, strongly urge you, if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, to grab these. They're worth the money. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.